What up, world? Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. You already know what it is. Welcome to Soul Sessions by Waxvillain. This show is dedicated to three things: soul artists and musicians, past, present, future, the collectors keeping lost and forgotten 45s alive, and the culture, the community, record stores, radio stations, and the record labels. Tonight, we're kicking off our collectors series. I'm delighted to have my soul brother, Indio Soul, here with us. This brother's been making a lot of news, soul sessions, connecting with the community. He's pushing the culture forward, keeping his hand on the wheel, and I'm delighted to have this brother here. Indio Soul, man, welcome.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for having me, man.
Now, before we kick things off, just let everybody know where you're from.
I'm from Hayward, California. All my shows, they're in Hayward, California, and I do all over the Bay Area.
You're known as the first Punjabi spinner, deeply rooted in Soul 45 culture. How did the journey begin, and what was the moment you fell in love with soul music?
So for me, well, for the music, it's just growing up in the city I'm from. I'm originally from England. I was born
Okay,
in England. Yeah, I stayed there for 10 years. And in 86, we moved to Hayward because my grandparents, they were in Hayward. All my
okay.
uncles and aunts, they all went to the local high schools, Tennyson High School. And we were like the first Indian family in Hayward. Like there's others, but there wasn't like we could see them every day. Now you see them everywhere. But back then it was different. We were the only
Okay.
ones. So growing up, I got influenced with the music I was listening to that was around me. Like I was in '86, I was being introduced to Run DMC, all the classics, all these Public Enemy. That was like one of my first, cassettes, you could say. But that's where all my musical journey started was with like a little bit of hip hop and then hanging out with my friends around the corner, like there were just oldies and soul music was starting to like get into my ear, and I hadn't really heard it prior to that. In England, it's more, you're not on the TV like you are now. You're on the radio if you have a car. We're walking and riding bikes are out there.
Mm.
It's a little
It's
different
funny
world.
you mentioned hip hop because that's what my first love was when it came to music. And I always look back and say that I feel like it was really the instrumentation, which was the samples that were used.
Yes.
I grew up in upstate New York, close to New York City, but I
Mhm.
was used to that golden era East Coast boom bap where sampling was really heavily used across a lot of those records that were coming out in the
Yeah.
90s. And so that was my first love. And I think it was the instrumentation that later I realized, oh my gosh, I didn't get into making beats until I want to say maybe it was like 2009,
Yeah.
and started to realize what I was hearing, on these CDs that I had been listening to came from these records.
Right.
And the deeper you get, you start to find the charm, the real gems behind the music, if you will.
Yeah.
Coming from a Punjabi background, how has culture shaped the way you hear, feel, or even play soul music?
So in our house, we didn't have soul music. We had Punjabi music, like
Yeah.
Bhangra music. That's like our dance music. So we
Hmm.
have a lot of rhythm. When you go to an Indian Punjabi wedding, you're gonna have the best time because everybody's dancing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're eating good food and they're dancing. And
Mm.
there's no other like you get out and then you hear something very similar. You're like, ooh, what is that? And that's where
Yeah.
my curiosity peaks.
Okay. Now, when I was getting into that indie hip hop, Madlib was one of the artists that I gravitated towards, Doom. And so that was where I started to really listen to, or at least get that early exposure to Punjabi music through what he was sampling. And then, of course, the visuals.
Yeah.
And I saw the dance and I saw the movement, and it was something that I thought was really exciting. I enjoyed those records because it was different. There was a new kind of flavor to it. And I
Yeah.
think what you'll say, even with soul, is all these different lenses we have into music is what expands our palette.
Yeah, it's a vibe, man.
I talk about local records a lot. Were
Yeah.
there ever any attempts that you were aware of where there was soul music incorporated into that, or they tried to put their own spin on it?
What do you mean?
Like Punjabi, perhaps maybe doing soul records.
So you didn't have any of that. There wasn't a mix. There was a little bit of that kind of music getting into like pop music. And
Yeah.
so you
Okay.
have, like the kids cutting school to go to these little dance halls, and this is in England. And
Yeah.
even little kids were there. We were allowed to go to dance parties with our parents because there would be a dance, there'd be a bar. And rules in England are very different than the rules over here. Over here, you got to be 21. Over there, they had a kids section. They had a play section in the bars, in the pubs, as you call them.
Talk to me about Hayward. What did Hayward, California give you musically? Was there a specific scene, person, or moment that influenced your path with soul?
Yeah, it was my friends, man. It was growing up because the high school's right near the house, and
Okay.
then right next to it is like the whole neighborhood, and it was a very, like there's a lot of guys out there, and this is late 80s, 90s. We talking about the white tees, the gangsters are everywhere, and then you drive, they're either listening to NWA or they were listening to oldies. That you didn't really have any pop music going on at that time.
What were
But
some of those early moments that you remember where you heard the sound and you immediately felt it?
feeling it, oh man, half the time we were hanging out, like so we're just hanging out on the street. Everybody's drinking, and then they would play a tune. And I used to tell everybody, there's this oldie for every mood you're in. And that's kind of when I was like experiencing it, because I realized like you could be in a mood and you'd hear a song and it would take you out of that mood and put you in whatever the song was about at the time. May it be a heartbroken breakup, or you was falling in love with some girl, or you're out with your friends and they're talking about it and they're singing about it. And yeah, those are when I started taking the notes.
Okay. When I've interviewed a lot of soul collectors, especially ones that have been around since day one, and they would always talk about the park, being out on the bench,
Oh
hearing the
yeah.
music and the cars and everything like that. And it just seemed like so cinematic. But even Noriega would tell stories about how him and his pals would get together, they'd bring their records, they'd be in like a single room and they'd be making tapes. And that was essentially that knowledge transfer where now, if you want to learn about this stuff, you can go online and read about it. Now
Right.
there are books, things like that. So your version is just similar to that, but it's just a little later on. It's like that next chapter in
Mine was
evolution.
very later on, like this is me listening to it. The one thing that got me stuck on oldies so much, and what it was I was getting in a lot of trouble. You know, I was going to juvenile hall. I was doing dumb stuff. As a child, I was an immature kid. And I would go to jail, and my dad got tired of it. And the day I got out, he shipped me off to India. And yeah, so over there, we're talking about you go to a village where there's barely any working electricity. There's one TV in the entire village. There's radio, but it's not English music. It's not American music. It's not our music. It's like Indian music. All I had was a cassette it was a mixtape of all oldies. That's all I had. And my dad left me there for 6 months. And all I did was that was all I had to go to remind me of home. And so I listened to that thing. And when I left, I accidentally left the Walkman behind with my mixtape. And for some reason, somebody found it and made copies. And now there's like a ton of people out there in that village that listen to my mixtape.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was live.
So that was kind of like the deep rooted connection right there,
Oh
essentially.
yeah, for sure. That's when it goes. It's like it was on repeat, like for every single day for 6 months. Because you're just baking in the sun out there. You're not moving. You're not running. You're listening to your music. Even when we went to go touristing, I would have that tape on with my little headphones on, and that's all I had. You know.
Mm.
So yeah, that's where I really resonated with me. And
Would
then
you say that moment in time was probably like a low point, but the music was that rock that you would lean on?
oh, definitely. Yeah, I had a lot of growing up to do, man. We weren't rich. We didn't we my father made $5 an hour when he came to this country. My mom made like 5.25. But they both worked in the Bay Area. They worked very hard.
Yeah.
and they just would save their money, and it was just my parents, by me, and my sister. But when I would go to school, I'd be with my friends, and and at school, and then when after school, I would come home, and my parents would be at work, so we were left to kind of. I had to take my sister everywhere with me, so I'd be out there playing basketball with my homies, and she'd be on her big wheel. I'd be out there on the block with my homies, and here's my little sister walking around, and
Mm.
she kind of got used to that, you know what I mean? Like that kind of, it was a fun time, but my parents didn't understand because all they is working, 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 and so the only time we get something, we got to get in trouble to get a little attention, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, I grew up like this.
My intro to soul came at like the start of the pandemic. I was dealing with like some health challenges, or I thought I was,
Yeah,
and I just felt overwhelmed by everything. And my friend from back home in upstate New York, he had sent me this song. It was the Sacred Souls. And
yeah,
I was like, yo, I'm like, is this on LP? He goes, nah, 45. I said, bro, I don't do 45s.
yeah,
And I started to listen more and more to those records because it started to like lift me up and I felt better.
yeah,
And it was the music that kind of like lifted me up. And at the time, the musicians, they couldn't do shows, record stores were closed. All I knew about was connection through online, Instagram.
right.
I somehow got this wild dream. I said, I could support and strengthen the industry and the community because I would see all these people on the live streams. I'm like, wow, everyone's welcoming. They're
Yeah,
they're educating you. And that was what drove me to do everything Waxvillain. And that was something I started back then. And so there's always that strong point that I think grabs us into it.
yeah.
And when you're in that phase, the music hits you
Oh yeah.
and you feel it different than when you might have just been listening to it or when the noise was in the background. It was different than hip hop. This was
Yeah.
something that was like real and you crave more of it. And then, of course, the community is amazing. There's this natural gravitation towards it.
I was gonna say you mentioned the sacred souls. So when I kind of was getting into, I was doing my dumb shit, right? And when I was getting to a point where I was kind of over that, my buddy, I go to my friend's house, and he would be listening to what I thought was oldies, because I kind of got away. That one, my point being bringing that up was I got away from the music because I was too busy mucking around on the streets. But what got me back was going to my friend's house, and he would be playing songs that I thought were oldies, and I was like, he goes, "Guess who this is?" I go, "No, who is that? Who is that?" And it was Duran Jones, and I never knew about Duran Jones, and I was like, he goes, "Guess when this was made?" I go, "I don't know, 1967, 68." And I was
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah,
And he goes, "No, this is 2000, blah, whatever it was at the time." And I
yeah.
was like, "Are you serious?" So I like literally turned off rap because rap is just gone down a path that I don't want to follow. And I
I'm
used to
in.
love hip hop and rap, and I enjoy the lyrics and I enjoy the beats. But when all you're talking about is just negative, 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 it's like I don't want to get beat over my head all day. And the soul music, the world needs soul music. And that, man, that got me. Duke, I turned the radio station right then and there. I
With
was
that.
all
Yeah,
in.
I don't listen to it the same anymore. I think it's just evolution. We grow up, and I like to say we refine our taste and everything like that. Talk to me about the education though, because I feel like there's a deep learning curve when it comes to what we collect, what we listen to, and what we like.
Yeah.
Um, where does the education come from now that you're starting to pick up the records? You're putting turntables in the house. You're starting to understand the difference between what near mint, VG minus is, all those things. First press, bootleg, um, was it books? Was it older collectors? Was it digging
It
in
was
the
the
crates and
community, man.
trial and error?
It was you know what? It was the community. It was people reaching out, and I would I so I was I started going to a lot of shows.
Okay.
And I started going there and showing up and listening because I was listening at my friend's house every weekend, and he was like in it. He enjoyed it. And I was, and I'm the same way, man. I'm like, yeah, let's go. So anytime we would go to shows, and then he was spinning he was spinning, and so then I would go to his shows to go support him,
Okay.
and we would just keep meeting people and everybody, and then people would meet me, but they would be like, you're Indian, you're Punjabi, and then my boy would tell everybody, nah, he's one of us, and he's grew up this way. He's harder than all you fuckers out here, he would, because I used to have to put in extra work
I get it.
because
I
I'm
get it.
not Mexican, I'm not black, I was a completely different race that nobody had integrated into their crew. And so
Yeah.
I had a lot of work to do. So when it came to this, like I put everything I got into this. But
Mm,
going to these shows and meeting people, like I met Laura Brown Sugar from San Jose.
okay.
She started going, "When are you gonna spin? When are you gonna spin?" And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to just come because I'm listening to great music. I don't
Hmm.
want to come in with just some stuff you heard 100 million times. It's okay to have, and it's okay to, in certain situations, you might want to play that for like if you're at a class reunion or something and you want to play something that they're used to, you might as well drop one. But I was hearing music that was just so different. So like it wasn't the average like soul music oldies that where I'm used to. And Laura would tell me, when are you gonna speak? When are you gonna come down? And I'd be like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready because I have to come correct. So I was getting 100 records, and I was going through, and I'd find like maybe two or three that I liked. I would put them to the side, and then those two, three, four, they became like 50, 60 records, and now I got a ton of records in my closet now, right?
Yeah.
So that was my now I'm like, okay, I got a good 90 minutes worth of music. If somebody asks me, I can actually say yes, I'm happy with this set. So she was the one that gave me my first set, and people started like watching me more, like started watching me because you can see my whole story on my Instagram. You can
I
see
went
where I
through
was
it.
posting records that I would find that I liked, and I would play them, and then you could see where I got to my first gig, and you can see the evolution of my equipment,
Yeah.
and I'm going to tell you, when I realized I wanted to take this, go all in, because it was the love from the crowd. It was that energy from the crowd. It was that when you get them to stop talking and turn their head and look right at you and start bobbing their head and sticking their fingers in the air, that was where I was at. That's what I like to do. I like to bring it.
Yeah. No, I mean that's dope. I think that because I found indie soul first, so the Duran Jones, the Sacred, all the Daptone, Coal Mine, all that stuff, and then I kind of get to the level of like Noriega, Sola, Industry Music Group, and I remember the first time I heard "I Cried" by the Jamels,
Mm,
and I remember looking it up, and I was like, man, there's like no information on this.
yeah,
And that was kind of that backdoor in. There were some covers that I had heard from modern artists, but that was kind of that first, like, ooh, I need that. Can't
yeah,
find it. I don't know anything about these folks. And I don't want to even, I'll be honest. I mean, I think it took me years, a good couple years to say, this is the kind of lost soul I like. Meaning, I can tell you the years, I can tell you the regions where it was made, can
yeah,
describe the sound, how many people need to be in that group. But I didn't have that at first. And
yeah,
so I think there's trial and error. At one point, near mint wasn't a thing to me, meaning I was okay if it was a VG. And then
yeah,
slowly over time, now I would say, unless it's like one of those rare ones that you just happen to come across, my standard is near mint. I want clean labels. I
good,
don't want scuffs. I don't if I can't record it, I don't want it kind of
right,
thing. And so the education was trial and error. It was the community, Noriega. It was, George. It was Nick Aguirre. It was Louis Tunes. And I mean, the list goes on. Southside Soul.
yeah,
Uh, all those guys raised me. And I believe that there's no place like California when it comes to soul.
yeah. There's
No,
some
whether it's the
a lot of
events,
ideas out there.
the community, and I'm going to say it, the leaders, or as they might refer to themselves as ambassadors. And so I think the education piece is something that comes with time, but you were in a really good situation, man, and you had people rooting for you and kind of moving you forward, which I think
There's
that's so
great.
important, especially with this scene, and you're in the right place. I Soul isn't the same in Seattle as it is California.
I
It's
get
very
it.
different ballgame.
I've been to
Uh,
Seattle. I went to their weekender with Bubbles
okay.
and yeah,
So so the Weekenders, that's Emerald City Soul
yeah,
Club. Typically, that's a northern sound.
yes.
That's
But
the
they have
northern sound.
Pogson, man. Love
Was
Poet.
it?
That was
Oh,
the first time I witnessed Love Poet.
that's a different level.
Yeah. That's when
That's
I'm like, what?
yeah, yeah. And so the Weekender, that's where people come from all over the globe to spin there. I was there, I think, 2 years ago, and I just brought sweet stuff. I had some stuff with that was mid tempo and up there, but I mean, from your Greg Belsons to your George Rodriguez, I mean, that's the time to come as the Weekender. Do you remember the first Soul 45 that stopped you in your tracks? And what was it about the record?
Stopped me in my tracks. You know what stopped me in my tracks was Jimmy Jones. Yesterday's Mistakes. It was on Twilight, Chicago,
I
and
love
it was
Chicago.
one of those records that like I like DM'd so many people because I couldn't find it, and I just loved it so much. And there's like violins in there that just oh man, and he says some wild lyrics in there, like talk the tears of my soul, and he's just going, and you're just feeling it. And every time I play that one, because I ended up finding it. And at first I was expecting a very expensive record, and I got it for $50, man. But it was the best $50 I ever spent, and it should be priceless. That song is one of my favorite songs. That thing is on repeat in my car. If I'm cruising through Walmart parking lots, I'm jamming Jimmy Jones,
Mm. Well, I'm
cruising.
gonna stop you real quick because there's something that you said that I think is so important, especially for this generation of I call it soul enthusiasts that are getting into the 45 culture.
Yeah,
I don't believe that it has to be a $2,000 record
correct.
to move the crowd or to be a great record. I have records that are $10,
Yep.
$20, $30, and I have records that are 500. And I get that same feeling with the $20 records as I do with the ones that are
Yeah,
$500. And so I think it's important that as people are watching this, whether they're young, whether they're just getting into it, that don't let the price of the record determine the impact of the
absolutely.
right.
100%.
When you think of the perfect Soul 45, and you kind of touch on this, but I want to go a little deeper with you. When you think of the perfect Soul 45, what does it sound like? And I'll tell you what I think it sounds like to me, but I want to hear your version of it.
The instruments. I mean, I love trumpets. I love the
Mm.
violins. I love Chicago soul is kind of where I'm at right now because when I first started, I was into like Philly soul, and then I was listening to Miami soul, and then I'll go back and forth, and I'll just find man. And right now, I'm on a Chicago thing because they kind of they capturing me, like a worm on a hook, man. They fishing right now, and they got me. Chicago soul is cracking.
Chicago has that group soul. I think there's a little bit of like gangster to it as well. And when
Yeah,
I say gangster, I just mean that deep stuff. That's like that street soul, right?
a lot of trumpets, man. A lot of horns.
Now, if I say the name "Sitting in the Park," do you know what that is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that was a big moment for me when I found "Sitting in the Park," the radio station with Bob Abrahamian,
Okay.
because Bob Abrahamian was in a way doing kind of what we're doing in the current day, but he had a radio show and he was doing his mixes and he was doing interviews. But to me, that was the gold mine right there because that was where all the education was. And he was from Chicago, so there were a lot of Chicago artists that came through there.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Stax keeps that website up and maintains it. But that is a true source for anybody out there. Look up Bob Abrahamian sitting in the park. Go to the website. That and Discogs together, and you're going to be on fire. Um, you know, I came from the lens of beat making. And so I didn't start buying, well, I started buying records well before I got into soul.
Yeah.
But I was looking for that first 10 to 15 seconds, not even 10, right?
You will
What am I
know.
going to, what's going to catch my ear right away that I'm going to sample? Maybe it was a drum break. Maybe it was vocals that I was going to turn the pitch up on. And so I still carry that lens forward when it comes to soul. I know right away within the first few seconds if it's going to grab me. For me, I love a flute. I love a soaring falsetto.
Yeah.
And I love that group harmony. Though that is kind of the sound that I would say, and I call it dramatic soul. That is what I kind of define as these are the records that I love most. These are the ones that I'm pumping through my set, and that's where I get that sweet spot between maybe like 69, 73, 74. And if you go up the years a bit later, you will still find some records that still have that because they were using old equipment, or maybe
Yeah.
that was just the sound, but it was a little the closer you get to 1980, you start to kind of lose that feel. Let's talk collector principles, right? Some people are strictly OVO. I refer to myself as a hybrid collector. I'm OVO when I see OVO on the door. That's what a majority of my 45s are. But I will shop reissues. I do have bootlegs. I told you about the whole grading thing. Um, and so, what's your principles as a collector?
So,
What do you adhere to?
I go for what I can. Like, if I can get the OG, I'm getting the OG. Because at the beginning, I got a couple of reissues. I got No Appreciation, Touch Sutton, and I got One More Chance by the Masquerader. Those are the two, and Sad Sad Story by the Ethics. Those are the three that I had at the time.
That's a
And
big record, the Tut Sutton one.
yo, Sapo has that one. Sapo's probably the only person I know. I've seen his copy. Like he'll bust it out.
Do you
That's a
know
good.
Anna Marie Castro?
No, no.
So Anna Marie Castro, uh, soul singer, California. She covered that on a Noriega record. I want to say 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, when I so like those are the couple that I had, and then I started picking up on like the community can kind of, if you pay attention, you'll see like this is how it is. Like if you're gonna be lazy and get not that we're lazy, but at the time I felt like okay, don't continue buying these. Save your money because there's so many other records out there. Save your money for that record, but continue getting your collection up. But save for that one and get the real deal when it comes out. If somebody drops it, grab it. But then I stopped buying reissues. Those are probably the only three that I have.
Yeah.
And if there's another one in there, it's in there by accident. You know what I mean? Somebody will be like, hey, that's a reissue. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know. I honestly didn't know, but I'll put it away and then I'll go look for the real one. That's kind of where I'm at.
I respect house rules. I understand that. And I think that as someone who's trying to champion and push forward, you can't not go that route. I also look at it from the lens of I want to bring people to the scene. And
Yeah.
I know not everybody can get those records. I
Correct.
call it it's like a triple constraint. It's geography, finances, and your
Yeah.
net. And the longer I've been in this, the more I've realized, shoot, I got some of those records 5 years ago at a great time because you just don't see them,
Yeah.
right? And then you're factoring in the grading aspect too, and wanting something
Yeah.
that's clean and minty. All that stuff I take into account. But at the end of the day, I think if people can find these records, these songs, these artists, no matter the format, I
Yeah.
always welcome that. Now, when you're trying to
Yeah.
do
I
something
love
different,
I love listening to anything on vinyl. I mean, come on. I've got LPs with whole compilations. And is
I
that
know.
a bad thing? No, it's not. It's a beautiful thing because now I can play that whole album while I'm doing my dishes or something.
Shades
And
of
I'm not
Sorrow, exactly. Yeah, I listen, man. When I play at 45, I can barely make it to the bathroom and come back. So I
yeah,
mean, we need those comps.
gotta give out signs to the kids. Grab the hand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So you talked about original versus reissue and your take on that and how compilations in themselves are not only nice for an education, but you can actually do something in the background.
Right.
Here's what I want to understand though. So when there's a record that you hear, and you got to go get that.
Hmm.
What's your process for that, and what's the standard around the grade of the record? How does that factor into your approach as a collector?
So grade is very important, especially, if it's anything, I mean, 100, 200, $300 records, but you got to read you got to read the details on it. But is it like something I can fix? Can I fix this record? Because you can take care of your records. Once I get it, it's my baby. So if it's not mint and it's a very good plus or a very good, I can read the description. If it's like light this and a little tear or something, crack or whatever, we could do something. Because if that's the only copy out there, I'm gonna take a chance. Because then you'll go home, play it, and it's boom, it's clean. You're like, okay, you did a little magic on it, and it's and now you did something nice. But it's like I don't sell records, so I don't sell records. I whatever I get, I take care of. And I've repaired. Like I had a love potion, this love, black label, and all of a sudden it was like it started messing up on me, and I spent like 40, $50 on it. Now it's like gone up because everybody likes it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did some magic on that thing, brought it back. Laughing Boy helped me out, man. That's my guy.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting because I had made a comment last week. I have one of the VPI record cleaners with the vacuum and all that. And
Yeah,
I said, cleaning, if you know how to do it the right way or you have the right equipment, you can change the grade of a record.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, I think that inside there's this competitive nature
Yeah,
that near mint is king, VG plus is kind of like that threshold. And I've noticed that some sellers will just simply not say near mint. And I understand that and I respect it. I do see grading sometimes inaccurate, and that always kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I like clean labels. I like that nice shine on the record. And surface noise to me is just kind of a killer because I always look to move the crowd when I'm playing out. And if people want to see the record, I don't want it to say, Adam and Eve in a blue Sharpie on the label.
yeah.
Uh, so I think those factors are really important. At what point do you walk away from the record and do you wait it out?
I don't. It's hard to walk away from records, man. But there's some that I like. It's like I like having it. I like listening to it at the house, but I wouldn't be able to play this at an event. But I do
Mm,
so many events now. It's like I'm listening to a lot of music. It's
bet.
oof.
Saw this video on your Instagram, and it looked like the back seat of your car was filled with boxes
Oh
of
yeah,
45s.
yeah.
Talk to me about that real quick.
So I had a buddy call me and he was like, "Hey, are you interested in a collection?" And I was like, "What are we talking about?" He goes, "Like 3,500 45s." I was like, 35. He goes, "There's like 20 boxes with like 250 in each box." And I
Yeah.
was like, shit. And he gave me a really good price. And when I do the shows, I'll if I make $100, if I make $50, if I make $200, I don't spend it. I put it away, you know, and that's what I use to buy more records and support what I'm doing. Like the equipment. Like I'm always trying to take care of my stuff, but I had a little extra, and I was like, man, it's not like I'm really paying for it because I did something out of love. I'm gonna for sure get my money back out of here. So I bought it, man, and that's what that was. That's a lot of work. I had help
What
though.
did you find in there, though? What did you find? What are the good ones?
A lot. So when we went through them, it was like we just had a stack, and I'll be honest, there's still so many records that time. Let's just say time is a commodity.
Mm,
So everything that we pulled out, boom, they're like literally in a storage thing that I still have to go through. We were going by labels and by, but yeah, we was just we were just grabbing everything. And now I got a garage full of records, but it's got like the whole entire Creedence Clearwater. Like it's got all their 45s mixed up in there. So that was the challenge, going through everything. But that's how you learn too.
No, I love that. I love it. I had to ask the question about
Yeah,
that.
that was fun.
What's a record that you've added to your list, but it took you months or maybe even
Years.
years to get
Yeah.
it? Talk to me about one that you remember that you
That
waited.
was that was this one, bro. This is the one I was telling you about, the Jimmy Jones. When it finally got it,
Got the sleeve too. You got
yeah,
the
I got the
company
sleeve. I
sleeve.
like to keep the sleeves. The cardboard sleeves are so expensive, and so it's kind of so whatever. Any time I get cardboard, I'll keep those. I've
Right.
seen a lot of people with really serious, storage, man. Very impressive storage, and I'm trying to get there. I'm just like all my yeah. It's a lot of work, man. But this
Yeah.
is it right here. This took me years to get. I was happy when I got this.
Mhm. There's a couple records that stand out. One of them was a Reggie Sadler record. It's his cover of "Love Is Just Like a Baseball Game." That was a situation where I had seen a VG minus on Discogs. It was the only copy.
Yeah,
VG minus, I felt some sort of way about it. I reached out to the seller. I asked for clips, didn't get anything. And to me, that indicated that maybe VG minus was a stretch. But I waited and I waited. And eventually I saw it on a bid on eBay. And I knew it wasn't like a real expensive record, but man, I swear
you loved it.
I would have thrown the bank at it just
Yes,
because I had just seen it pop and I love that song so much. I had the reissue, I had a test press of the reissue, but I knew it was only for my listening pleasure at that point.
right.
This was something I wanted to take out and share with the people. So I know what the hunt is like, and that feeling of just seeing it through like your computer screen,
Hmm.
the hope and excitement you get, like you're the only one that's looking at it, right? But
Yes.
I ended up getting that record, of course, and again, I think I was willing to throw it all at it, man. I didn't know when I'd see it again, and that's the one thing that I always say to people, especially those coming up. I'm like, if you see it and you got it, go for it because
Yeah,
it might be years before you see it again.
yeah. There's a few like that for me too. My want list, whew,
One
man.
list is so bad. I gotta start clearing space out because there's so many damn pages.
Yeah, I've accidentally bought doubles before. I've done that so many times. I'm like, why do I have two of these? Because I loved it, and then maybe it got lost in translation with the other music coming in, and
Yeah,
all of a sudden I heard it again and kind of was like, oh. But yeah, I've done that a couple of times.
there was a while where once I would get a record and I saw it pop again, especially if the grade was a little higher, I started getting doubles of record, and I'm like, now I'm slowing down my
Yeah,
reach. But there's something about having a copy on ice that you just know is tucked in the corner just in case. You've been making a lot of noise on the gram and across California, as far as I'm concerned, from the promotion to the way that you're capturing it. What is Indio Soul Sessions? When did the idea first hit you to build something for the community? You've invited other collectors out to spin with you. Talk to me about who you've brought into this circle. And
so
congratulations on the way, man.
thanks, man.
It is so energizing to see just the space that you're in. Everyone's happy.
Yeah,
Everyone's together. All the boxes on the table. I mean, man, I've seen clips of people out spinning before and people out enjoying the music, but there's something special that's going on with what you got. And the videos, the way you're capturing it, chef's kiss, man. I got to tip my hat to you. It's a motion picture, baby.
yeah. Thank you, man. That's Premier Visuals, man. He's awesome, man.
Okay.
He's really, really good at what he does. He captures the moments for sure.
How did it all
Um,
get started, though?
so the way it started was going to the shows in San Jose, going to the shows in San Francisco, going to the shows in Oakland. Um, it was just like, why doesn't Hayward have something like that? That's how the conversation started. And
But you to Hayward.
we were like, let's do it. And I say we because it was my friend Hector,
Okay.
uh, Frosto Sounds. So
Okay.
me and him used to like listen, and then we were like, let's try to find a spot out here. And the only reason we decided to do that was because it was at another. I don't like the name of another place, a club or a bar or something, but it's in Hayward. It's in downtown Hayward. It was okay. Fuck it. It's the Dirty Bird. Okay, they were promoting a Sunday, a Soul Day or something. It was like I forgot what the official word was, but in my head, I'm thinking what we're used to going to. We're used to going to these shows. So we all linked up. It was me, him, and homie Neto, Vato's brand. Um, we all linked up, and we went over to the Dirty Bird, and it was a daytime. They had little vendors inside, and outside they had a gentleman spinning Whitney Houston, and it threw me off. And I was like, "This is bullshit." Like I was so upset. I was like, this is crazy. I said, I literally right then and there, I said, if we're gonna do it, like this is the way I would want it to be done. This is it. I'm never gonna do this. Expect something, and this is what I get. It wasn't what I want. It wasn't what I was. It kind of disappointed me, and it really ignited something inside of me to say, listen, you know what? I'm gonna try to get something out here. So it was myself, the other two guys. Um, we were talking about it. We would be in the garage and we were chopping it up about it. And but it was like I'm me. Once I get an idea, I am gone. Like I'm very like that.
Ceiling. No
If I
ceiling.
learn like coffee, I'm gonna start learning about coffee beans and coffee bags and coffee roasting. You know what I mean? Like that's how I roll. And for
Mm.
me, it was like, well, these we're just talking about it. I'm gonna within a couple of days, I had asked a spot if we could get us. Hey, you mind letting us do a little show in here? It's Sunday. Nobody's really here. We'll promote it ourselves. We won't charge. We just want to try to do something different. And the guy was like, yeah, I did that on my own. I went in there and talked to him on my own. And when I got back, we all agreed, yeah, that's cool. So we even had a like we're gonna have our homie Stevo do barbecue. So we had a flyer made. It's like one of those it's like an old history story now, right? So we had an old flyer made, and all of a sudden, it kind of was three of us, right? So it's Hector, Neto, and myself. And one day they was like, "Hey, we found a different spot." I was like, "What do you mean?" And they were like, "We got this other spot on Industrial." I'm like, "But I already told the dude we're gonna do it here. We even have a flyer." And I kind of I feel like I got outvoted. I was like I couldn't. I said, "You guys weren't there to shake his hand. I shook his hand." So I take that. That's big for me. And so so I had to cancel on them, and I've never done this. This is the very first time. And so instead, I put my energy towards this other spot now, right? So we did the flyers, got all the vendors, got cars out there. We even had a little beer garden in the back. So we did it, right? We had a good one, and Hector spun the music. This is when I was still collecting and not ready to play yet, but he did the music, and it was really good. There was family, there was kids, and it was a daytime thing. And then we did another one, and then on that day, there was a car show, and nobody really showed up. People showed up, but it wasn't like it was. And this is the first day I met Laughing Boy, by the way. So
Okay.
yeah. So him and Hector spun, and it wasn't as successful. So we kind of just stopped doing it at that point. But I had a little bit of experience now with a couple of shows, and I know how to talk to people. I'm pretty good at articulating words across this space, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I go to so I used to go to this. I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank in a while. But I went to the Dark Horse and on a Sunday, and I looked inside and it was like maybe 4 or 5 people in there on a Sunday. And I said to the bartender, her name's Mary. I said, Mary, I said, would you ever let us bring our equipment and just set up right here and just play some oldies or something on a Sunday? I mean, it's not. We'll make the flyers and we'll do all that. And she was like, let me ask the owner, Jenny. She asked the joint. She said yes. So we set a date. We set up, and we got to spin. I had already had my first spin with Laura. Now I'd already got my first spin. So this is the second time I've ever done anything out in the public like this. So I set it up. So we me and Hector got in there. We did it, and it was like maybe 15, 20 people showed up. So the bar's telling me, oh, we had a great Sunday. So when can we do another one? So then we planned another one.
Okay.
We did another one, and this time like 30 people showed up, but it was still like it wasn't like it is now. It was still light. And so on the third one, um, Hector no longer wanted to do it. He didn't want to do it. He felt like I don't want to speak for anybody, but it's like it was just a crowd thing. Like there wasn't like a lot of people. So it was kind of, I don't know if that's what it was, but that's how I felt what it was. And so he said, I don't want to spin in Hayward no more. I just want to spin other places. So I was like, all right, that's cool. So I'm going to keep going because now I'm on this I got adrenaline going. And I I did the next one, but I said, did it by myself though. So I went in there and I said, open table, and DJ D Real came through gave me a couple breaks, but I did the whole night, and he did an hour. He did 30 minutes, but he was playing like really good records, and I'm just going, doing my thing. I'm having a great time, and the crowd was still about the 20 people. It's cool. So it's my third one, and then I was like, I had such an itch. I said, I'm done with these Audio Technicas because I kept hearing this weird hollowness to them. There was something about it that I just was resonating with me, and I felt like if I'm gonna go do a good show, I need good equipment. So I freaking stacked up a couple bucks, and I got me some 1200s. And so once I did that, that's when people really shifted their attention because like I said, you can see my whole story on my Instagram.
I saw the picture where you said invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself. And I got those 1200, and people started hitting me up like, hey man, we see you doing you're really taking this seriously, because they know that stuff's not cheap. I'm like I'm buying good needle, like I'm really trying to do something good here.
You are, brother. You are.
um but then we set up the show with me and Laughing Boy, and that was in February. And this is recent, man. This is last year, but this is at the beginning of the year, so this is about a year ago. Me and him put the show together, and then Treetop, that was his first time spinning. We did open table only for him though, because he's like, hey, you think I could get that? He was like, because he said, I've never done this before. I said, come on, bro. So he came to the house. We all hung out and we practiced, and because it's your first time, I would want somebody to show me what's up. And he got lucky with, like with Laughing Boy and myself. We were like, I was already getting my feet wet. But he got his first time there. But here's the thing. I walk in expecting 10, 15, 20 people, and the place is just packed. And I'm like, oh, like something just went click. And I was like, oh, and I just stepped back outside. I walked back outside, and I'm like, bro, it's really happening. Like, this is like how I felt. This is how I was, just a happy moment for me. Like it was very rewarding. And then I walk in and I set up, and we start jamming, and it's just like the richest man in the world standing in the room playing music for everybody. That's how it was at that moment.
I love that. Everybody's got a story. What's that one memory, meaningful moment, in your collecting journey so far? Maybe it was meeting an artist, finding a grail, or maybe it's that show that shifted everything. But
Yeah,
what's that moment for you? Maybe there's a few of them. Who knows?
the moment where that was a good one. That was a
I
really,
bet. No.
but was there? Oh, you know what it was when Low Riding with JJ walked through the doors, and the whole place went, JJ's here, and I was like, what? And they was like, bro, you got JJ over here. Like everybody was congratulating me, like I had done something, and it was just, it's really nice to get acknowledgement from your peers, like I tell everybody, like everybody that comes to my show, they're better than me. I'm the guy that's the luckiest guy in the world because I'm learning from all of these folks. I'm listening to all of the music, and I'm getting, like, everybody's so like good with me. Like they be lacing me up on this adapter or this kind of needle or try power. Like I learned wire management from Acro. So I say, man, he goes, this will take it easy. This will take it easy on your RCAs, and you ain't gonna be unplugging them so much. And you got this, he was just lacing me up, and I've done that ever since. And when I set up, it's like faster. I'm not pulling out 15 plugs and stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, I love what you said. You know who Mr. Bubbles is?
What's that?
You know who Mr. Bubbles is, Monsieur
Yeah,
Bubbles?
yeah, yeah, Monsieur. Yeah.
That's my brother.
Yeah,
And
he's awesome.
he was over here a couple weeks ago, because my music space is over there. We're sitting on the couch listening to a record, and I didn't say it exactly how you did, but my whole thing is every time I spin out, I'm always impressed by who else is spinning in their collection. And I
Yes.
said, man, I'm like, just when I feel like I got a little bit of traction, I'm like, every time you come through, man, I'm learning. You're showing me something. You're putting me on to great records. I feel the same way. Just like you said, everyone's better, and it doesn't even like that's not even a thing to me. I'm proud of what I spin and what I play, and I love the
Yeah,
records I have. But that is it. Everyone's better, man. Everybody's got their story. They've blazed their own trail. They've curated their own collection, and I think it's that connection between the collectors, the community members,
yeah,
that makes this such a special place. It wasn't like that when I was hooping. It wasn't like that with hip hop, but that's what makes everything so cool.
yeah, for sure. A lot of good people out there, man. A lot, and it's there's so much happening right now for everybody. It's a really, I'm just like I don't know. I'm just like, I feel like God is putting me on a good path. Like that's how I feel. Like I'm on a really good path, positive path. Um, I avoid negativity. I just stay away from it, man.
There's
Yeah.
no negativity in this space. I miss that with everything, and it just bring a good attitude, bring open arms, and each one teach one, kind of like I said. Now, if someone 20 years from now discovers footage from Indio Soul Sessions, what is it that you want them to feel? What is it that you want them to know when they see the video?
When they see the video 20 years from now, they can be like, damn, that dude has a really good beard, man. We don't even have hair anymore. They're like,
I
this
love
guy's
it.
beard, man, and that little white stripe, man. Sheesh. No,
It's legit. The beard is legit. It's good. It works.
yeah. But when they see the shows and the videos of the shows and all the people dancing, they'll be like, wasn't there like a war or something going on at that time in the year? Like that's I want people to remember that at that time you had a great time and the
Mm.
vibe was good, everything was positive, everybody was jamming, and you see us up there dancing. I'm not young. When I dance, I gotta deal with the back pain for like a couple of days. You know what I mean? I
That's
pack
why I just kind of
Motrin.
two step. I do some things with the arms, the hands. I might start, doing a solo myself. I feel you. You got a few on me, but we're in the same boat,
Yeah,
baby. We're in the
like,
same
what's
boat.
my back hurting?
Here's what I love about what you're doing. I think about the challenges of the collectors and the community members way before us. The information traveled by the circle, or you were either there. And for us being curious, we do the research. And sometimes we find stuff, other times we don't. I've said this with my interviews, and I think the same thing for what you're doing is you're not necessarily making it for right now, but 20, 30 years down the road, it's an artifact. It's the state of soul at that time. And
Yeah,
so that's what's special because somebody's going to see that and they're going to be inspired. They're going to want to, you're role modeling in essence. You're preserving the culture. That's what's special about it, man. I get energized when I see those videos, and I know that others will too. So
Thank
Big
you.
props to you for everything that you're doing. You are leading the way at what seems like a very high clip. You are embraced, and if there's ever anything I can do to help you, man, you know I'm in the same boat as you, and I'm just I'm thrilled for you, man. I'm really happy for all the success you've had with Soul Sessions. I love your attitude and your energy around collecting, and you get it. It's more than just listening to the music. It's feeling it, and it's I think I can do more than that. Like I said, there's no ceilings. When
Yeah.
you first thought about doing shows, you were on it right away.
You
That's
know,
that attitude, that's that drive, that's that passion. You don't you don't just turn that switch on. You know what I'm saying? That's something special. Show me a record, tell me a story about it.
let's okay. So my one of the best guys, one of the best guys, okay, is OG Space Cholo, man.
Yeah, yeah,
He,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I fell in love with this
San
record.
Francisco, right?
Jimmy Bailey, huh?
San Francisco, right?
Yes, yes, for the Frisco gang. So Jimmy
Yeah.
Bailey, yes, every time. So this record right here, um, he was the only other spinner I know. I have known at the time that I heard it live. You know, he jammed. I was, oh, you got that? Because I've been looking for it. And then when it finally, what the estimated value was like, I think it was like 684 was the last one sold. And I'm like, I'm gonna be paying an arm and a leg, right? So it popped up on eBay for like 350. And
Mm.
so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bet 250 and see if anybody tries to bid. And if they do, I'll just up it because I really wanted this.
Yeah.
And I did 250, nobody bidded, and I got it for $7 because I got it for the asking price because nobody else bidded on it. I got it for $7. So this is one of my great records I love, and I play it, but I always give Space Cholo his props, man, because
Oh
he's
my
one of the few people that I've heard play this.
my goodness. My
Yeah,
goodness. That's a come up. And I love those stories.
yeah, good come up.
That takes us to the end of Soul Sessions. Before we dip, man, I just want to give you the space to say something to those that are going to watch this.
I just like to say thank you to everybody out there. Whatever you folks have going on, please don't hesitate to DM me, send me your flyer. I'd love to share it. You know, I don't ask for nothing in return because we're all gonna win out here, you know, and we're bringing something to the people out there. But you know, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for the support of the community. And there's just so many to name that somebody could be in their feelings like, why didn't he mention me? You know? But on top of my list, but for sure though, the Homegirls of Soul, Laughing Boy, OG Space Cholo, those are just a few. Spooks always coming through. Treetop, man, he's always been supportive of us. Um, and I say us because us as a community, but the show, man, that's my baby right there. But yeah, thank you. And
Definitely.
thank you, man. I
Thank
appreciate
you
you.
so much for coming through, brother. I appreciate so much everything that you do. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Soul Sessions by Waxvillain. This was our first collector edition. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Waxvillain, Seattle, Washington. We're out of here.